If you've recently purchased a skin and were shocked to find out that the skin will become useless at some point in time, well, I'm gonna keep it straight, that shouldn't be much of a surprise. And my hopes are that by the end of this video, you'll better understand the rapidly changing DLC model so that you can make the best decisions with your hard-earned money. So let's start by distinguishing a new game from DLC, expansions, and microtransactions. It's important to be able to distinguish a traditional game from live service games. These are games that are released and maintained over several years with frequent content updates. These days, live service and free-to-play often go hand in hand, but they're not mutually exclusive. You may notice a lot of traditionally released games have started to adapt the live service model to make even more money on top of the initial sales, which is why a lot of people are starting to refer to traditional games as premium games. Now, any individual game can be expanded with DLC. DLC is an umbrella term for any post-launch content added to the game, and there's two main types. You got expansions and microtransactions. Expansions are major content updates to games. This can include a mix of new story missions, maps, characters, features, game modes, etc., etc. Microtransactions, on the other hand, are small a la carte in-game items that you can purchase. World of Warcraft started off with pets you could partner with. Call of Duty had the $1 weapon camos, which I think was the golden age of microtransactions. There was a time where new overpowered weapons and characters were for sale in various games. That started the whole pay-to-win debate. And because of that, nowadays microtransactions are largely cosmetic only and very expensive. Now, the thing that everyone needs to understand, if you do not already, is that DLC is obviously tied to an individual game, whether it be premium or free. You should not expect to see any DLC supported outside of the game that you bought it in. Don't expect to be able to use your skin that you bought in Call of Duty or Fortnite for the next 10 years or 20 years. They're not going to last forever. Try to think of video games and DLC as traditional home media. We've gone from film to tape to cassette to DVD to Blu-ray to 4K Blu-ray, HDR Blu-ray, so on and so on. If you buy a movie in whichever format, you can watch it at any time on its native device. Similar to video games, you can use skins in the game that you bought them in at any time, but you can't natively watch a VHS cassette on a Blu-ray player. If you want to stay up with modern tech, you'll have to rebuy your movie in the newest format. Same goes with skins. If you want to use the coolest and the latest skins, you gotta buy them in the latest game. Otherwise, they get left behind in their respective games. Now, in some cases, a publisher may give you a complimentary upgrade on a movie you've purchased, or you could trade it in at Best Buy or something, get some of your money back. The equivalent in gaming, sometimes you'll get games like Overwatch 2 where your skins will transfer, or you'll get games like Fortnite or Warframe that have outstanding multi-year support. But in most cases, you're going to be left on your own. When you look at the bigger picture, these practices aren't exclusive to video games. This is a common business model in just about every field in every industry. Now, some of you may be asking, what about this game? What about this game? This game lets me use these skins. This game has great multi-year support. Listen, there's a lot of nuance in monetization in gaming right now. A lot of things are changing, and I really need you to listen closely here. I'm not trying to say, suck it up, too bad, too sad. I'm just trying to help people understand and be smart with their money. Because like 5 years ago, the difference between an individual game, expansion, and a microtransaction was clear cut. Now, the terms aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Take Call of Duty, for example. We would get a clear-cut, brand new game every year, and that game would have map pack expansions as well as microtransactions with, weapon camos and such, up until 2019 when we got the reboot of Modern Warfare. Warzone released as a side mode to Modern Warfare 2019, so of course it shared the same microtransactions as that game. Once Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard were released as individual games in the new hot Call of Duty, Warzone was transitioned into an expansion that borrowed gear and items from 3 years of Call of Duty games. You could buy microtransactions in Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard and use those microtransactions in their respective game as well as in Warzone. But one could argue the exact opposite and say Warzone became the main Call of Duty game and Cold War and Vanguard were premium expansions for Warzone. Whichever way you look at it, the outcome was inevitable. Eventually, there was going to be a new game that rebooted things. That game was Warzone 2.0 last week, and all those cosmetics players thought they'd have forever have been left behind, as we've seen done traditionally. Another example many gamers bring up are Overwatch, Fortnite, and GTA Online. Many players believe these games are handling microtransactions correctly because they offer long-term support. Overwatch actually let players transfer skins from Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2. But in the grand scheme of things, each of these games are unique cases and you shouldn't be using them to set your expectations. For example, Overwatch 2 was announced to be a brand new game, but development delays ended up altering that plan, and Overwatch 2 launched without its story mode in a PvP-only early access. The way they went about doing this, on a technical level, Overwatch 2 is just a large expansion for Overwatch 1. It uses these same exact assets. You literally updated the Overwatch 1 install files to install Overwatch 2. The skins transferring over easily should be expected. It'd be alarming if Overwatch 2 launched the way that it did and they actually removed all the Overwatch 1 skins. That would set such a dangerous precedent for gaming if they got away with that. As for Fortnite and GTA Online, yes, these games have lasted 4 years. Fortnite is actually only 1 year younger than Overwatch, but these games aren't going to last forever. There will eventually be a time where the developers will have to make a decision on how they're handling legacy DLC. My gut tells me they'll follow what we've seen traditionally and skins will be left behind. I'm not that familiar with GTA Online, but from the research I've done, I can't see anywhere where Rockstar said the game's going to last forever. If you read their website, this has the same vague wording that every other business uses. It just says it's ever evolving and will include all existing gameplay upgrades and content released since launch. They can release GTA Online 2 and none of your microtransactions will transfer over, and that exact statement will be true. It's a very similar situation like we're seeing with Warzone 1 and Warzone 2. But perhaps with cloud gaming on the horizon, GTA and Fortnite can stay relevant enough until game streaming gets better and becomes mainstream. And then they could easily port over assets, including skins, to a new game because everything would be handled server-side rather than on the player's local machine. We really have no clue. Both these games are a first of their kind. It definitely will be interesting to see what they end up doing once they're forced to move on to a new game because of tech limits. So my word of advice as I wrap up this video is that if you're buying a lot of skins and expecting them to last forever, think of microtransactions as a way to support games that you like, especially free-to-play games, because that's their main source of income. At this point in time, DLC is so expensive that you shouldn't really be impulse buying everything you like unless you have disposable income. I used to have no problem getting, $1 weapon camos back in Black Ops 2 or buying map packs every few months, but that was a different time that I am afraid we're not going to be seeing ever again. Again, you're your own person. You can do whatever you want. I just hope this video helps some people out and puts just the current gaming industry trends into perspective. So don't forget to tap the like button on this video. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.